I'm going to show you how to repair a Ford E350 van that the AC won't blow out of the vents from the ceiling in the rear. And if you find this content helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So the problem with this Ford E350 van is when the rear climate control fan is on, the only thing that will work is the heat. And the heat comes out of the floor vents and the AC comes out of the ceiling vents. So in the heat of summer, the only thing that works is the heat. So we need to fix that. And in this case, the blend door in the rear is the cause. So we need to take out the rear seats to get started. So to get the rear seats out, you just pull these straps. And I forgot to mention, this is a 2010 Ford van. Once the seats are out, we can now take off the side panel. And the first thing we do is take off the seatbelt covers. There's those two right there, if you could see. And then the third one covering the rear side top mount seatbelt. And that, I believe, is a T45 torque spit. So we just need to undo that torque spit and the seatbelt comes off. With the seatbelt off, now we have access to these body pins, the plastic clips. So just take them off best way you can using a trim tool or a screwdriver, being very careful to save them because we're going to need to put them back in. You can always put in new ones if you damage them. Also take off that weather stripping. And then there's also, you can pull that side off near the front a little bit, like I did, and near the rear. You see I can pull it off, but don't pull it off all the way. I'm just showing you that you can because there's one screw down here near the front like this, and it's holding it on. So you need to undo that one to avoid breaking any interior side panels. With that off, now you can take off the 6 screws that hold on the lower side panel. And a couple more body clips, rather 3. So just get those out, being as careful as you can. And then this moves out of the way. It is attached to the seatbelt, so it doesn't detach completely. But once we remove that side panel, we have access to the blower motor. The blower motor is held on with either 8mm or 10mm bolts, 4 of them. With that off, being careful of that vacuum line, not to damage it. We now have access to the blend door. This blend door is what's damaged. The black plastic blend door has a little attaching piece to this silver clip. And when you activate the hot or cold, it moves this little silver clip up and down, which then moves the door. And now I'm hitting either hot or cold, and it's moving, but it's not moving that blend door because the blend door is broken. And I'll show you how when I pull it out. But this is what I was doing. I was turning it on floor, hot, heat with the rear fan on high, and then putting the rear on AC, normal AC. And that silver plunger was moving, but again, it is not moving that blend door. When you see that silver plunger move, you should also be seeing that blend door diverting the air a different way, and see, it's just not doing it. So how it attached, it's just not attached anymore. In order to take that blend door out, we got to do a few more things. The first thing we got to do is make a little clearance. So we remove this one screw in the ducting, the ductwork. Take that out, and then these 2, I believe, 10mm bolts that hold the duct towards the front. Now with those 3 screws out, this has a little bit of play in it. Just be careful not to move it too much, but it does move quite a bit. Now I got my elbow screwdriver attachment here, which is quite useful. You probably need something like this to get us. And I got 1 screw out. Now that screw is what holds the plunger controller, the regulator of the blend door. So that comes out, and it comes out with these 2 tabs. You can see one broke. You squeeze those, and that 1 screw, and then it pops right out. It's kind of hard to explain, but see, now I can pull the blend door out this way because that regulator has been moved. So with a little bit of movement in this black housing, you see I can wiggle it out. I got it out. That's the blend door that's broken. I already got the new part. You can see here how it's broken. That little nub broke off just over time, plastic. It's hot and cold air hitting it all the time. So now we need to put it in the same way we took it out. We put the nub facing away, and we just slide it back in. Now we can get this plunger back on. And this is a very delicate process that I can't show you, but what helped me is a trick here. You pull that silver plunger out as far as you can, and then it'll attach, and I'll show you how. So slide that blend door in so it's seated in there like normal, and then you can kind of put this little regulator in the space it needs to go and pull it back out. You see how I don't have it really seated? Now, this is the trick I was telling you. You pull this away, that's so, to give you a better chance of clipping that nub on the blend door. So you kind of set everything like this, and this is where I got to turn, I got that spacer there to hold it up. This is where I got to turn everything off, and you just got to attach it, that silver clip onto the nub. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. But okay, we have it on there, and then I just pushed it in, put those clips in, and now we need to get that screw back in that I took off with the elbow driver. So I'm going to use that elbow driver again to get that screw to hold that plunger regulator. And I'm just showing you how this works in case you've never seen that before. So attach that, the clips and that one screw hold it on. Now we just put everything back together. Those two bolts that hold the black ductwork housing on, put those on to get everything back in place. So with those two screws attached, now we can attach the upper ductwork. It's just that one Phillips head screw. Now we can put the blower motor, well, we're not going to put the blower motor in, we're going to test it and make sure that it's still attached, and I'll show you. So I do the same thing I did earlier, putting it on floor heat and then back to normal AC cold, and the rear is on high. And I'll show you what's happening in the back to know that the repair has been completed. So when I'm switching this back and forth from floor heat and then cold AC, norm AC rather, and then moving the temperature dial from cold to hot, this is what is supposed to happen to that blend door. I just set my camera back there with the blower motor out, and that motion alone is what directs hot and cold air going in or out of the cabin. So you can see here, as I switch it back and forth from hot to cold, the blend door is working as it should. So the repair has been completed, and we just need to finish putting everything back together. So I took my phone out, and we're going to put the blower motor back in. Just make sure to orient it right so that that vacuum line is in the right spot, and then you just put the rubber around it just like it was before I took it off, and line up that hole so that it works appropriately. Then put in the 4 bolts, screws that held it on. Looks like 8mm. So with the vacuum line attached, the plug securely attached, and the 4 bolts on, the blower motor's back in. And if you go back to the driver's seat and do floor heat, you can feel hot air coming out of the floor, and then put it on normal AC, and you can feel it coming out of the ceiling. So you know you put the blower motor back in and everything's working as it should. So we can continue putting back the interior side panels back on. With these 6 screws that hold on the top of the lower panel, followed by the 3 body clips that you carefully took off earlier. Just stick those back in. They should still work at least a few times. Then we can put in the top side panel. And if you remember that one screw we took out, don't forget to put that back in. So everything just kind of clips back in, and you push it on very firmly, except for that one screw, obviously. So just firmly attach everything. Now don't go crazy, because I made sure all the clips were lined up before doing this. They're all partially in, and I'm just hitting it. If they didn't line up, there's potential for you breaking it. So don't do that. And just put these body clips back in. And like I said, make sure that side panel is just lined up correctly before firmly pressing it in. Put the weather stripping back on. And that T45 bolt that holds this seatbelt on, just make sure that's fully secured, and then put the seats back in, and you're good to go. So if you found this content helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.